Good evening. This is Jersey Hobby Hour. This is episode 13 for November 18th, 2015. I'm Steve Chin. With me, I have Alan Wan. How's it going, Alan?
I'm doing well, buddy. Sorry. Just had a bunch of sushi rolls. How you doing, guys?
That sushi must have been mind-bending, apparently.
I took a huge shit. Sorry, guys. Too much information.
Jersey Hobby Hour is a show where Alan and I generally discuss current event topics in news, gaming, entertainment, technology, really anything that catches our fancy. As well as today, we're going to be talking a little bit about kind of what we want to do with Jersey Hobby Hour, maybe future projects, things that we look forward to doing, sort of the 3 months in review from the original project length that we've had, because we've reached our 13th episode, which is phenomenal. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, and we're also going to bring up some topics like we do normally on a weekly basis, and let's just jump right into it. So I guess what we'll do is we'll cover topics first, and we'll come back around to the show in itself towards the end. So Alan, what do you have first?
Oh, wait, what are we doing? Sorry, I wasn't paying attention. Sorry, I was distracted. My mom walked in. This is the point of living at home. Wait until I get my own place. So what are we doing again, Steve?
So we're going to cover all the topics that we kind of have in the show notes before we talk a little bit about the show and what we want to do in the future.
Okay. So you want to go with my first topic?
Sure.
Okay. First topic we're going to go over is the Zoolander 2 trailer. So I don't know if you guys are aware that there's actually a sequel to Zoolander. I mean, Zoolander didn't do too well in terms of commercially in the box office. However, over the several years, it actually gather a cult following. So that kind of pushed into them making a second movie. So the trailer came out today, and I thought it was actually pretty funny. It reminded me a lot of the first Zoolander. It had the same kind of quip, all these things. They had celebrities in there. The part with Justin Bieber, there's how he was kicking ass and he just gets killed. Just those kind of little nuggets here and there that kind of reminded me of the first movie. It still has that little silliness to it. It looks like at least a decently funny movie as compared to the last couple of movies that Ben Stiller and Owen Wilson and even Will Ferrell, I don't think they've done a really funny movie in a long time. I mean, to be honest, that game's actually been taken over by Seth Rogen and Paul Rudd and all their buddies, basically. I mean, they're the same group, but it seems like they're more successful at it right now. So if you're going to see a comedy coming out, you're going to watch Seth Rogen. I mean, Seth Rogen is having a new comedy movie that's coming out. We haven't really talked about. I think it's The Night Before Christmas or something like that, where basically it's just Seth Rogen's this isn't about them, but Seth Rogen's about to have a kid, and basically it's all these buddies, having a night out before, he has his kid. So back to Zoolander. It looks really funny. I think it's going to be. I'm not sure how it's going to appeal to the audience nowadays, because obviously, with things with cult following, that's usually a hit or miss. For example, Veronica Mars. Veronica Mars, didn't do too well in terms of a TV show. Didn't get that much great of ratings. However, it got a cult following. Eventually, it got a movie for it. But when they released the movie, it didn't do too well. It actually didn't make basically any money. But the thing is that the studios were willing to do it because they got funding from Kickstarter. So some people were able to pay for the movie, and then that was the reason why it came out. So things with cult followings, those are hit and miss. It's also sorry for the rant, but also Kick-Ass 2. Kick-Ass 1 was really good, but the thing is that it didn't make a lot of money. But it had a cult following. That's why they made Kick-Ass 2, and then Kick-Ass 2 didn't make that much money. So I don't know how this movie's going to be. What do you think, Steve?
So to be honest, I haven't actually watched Zoolander, the first one. I think I've caught parts of it at friends' houses occasionally. Okay. But just from watching the trailer and seeing the bits and pieces of the other Zoolander movie, it might be worth catching on Netflix. This isn't something I'm going to go to the movie theater and actually go out of my way to watch. Ben Stiller's funny. I liked most of his movies. I've seen bits and pieces of all the Night at the Museum movies, which are hilarious.
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I think the first one, no, not the last two. The best part of the last one was Rebel Wilson, who does her usual bit of being fat and funny. Sorry,
but I mean, as a kid, I love There's Something About Mary. He's just he's a funny actor, though you don't see him in a lot of other roles. At least nothing that's mainstream. So I'm not too sure if I'm going to go out of my way to watch this one. Talking about the Night Before Christmas movie that you mentioned with Seth Rogen, and to go off on a little bit of a tangent, Joseph Gordon-Levitt is in that movie, and
Falcon, Anthony Mackie.
I find it unusual for him, or not unusual, but interesting for him to be in this type of movie where it's just completely asinine.
Have you seen Don John before?
No.
Actually, that's a movie where he was a director, and he made it with Scarlett Johansson. And half the movie is basically he has this really thick Italian accent or like a Staten Island accent, and he's like, he's like jerking off, and he has an addiction to jerking off, basically.
But was it meant to be like funny?
It took it to be a little funny. It didn't take itself too seriously. Let's just put it that way. We were laughing when we were watching the movie. Let's put it that way. Of all the things that were going on.
Interesting. I don't know. I see him as an actor with a lot of range, but I don't know. The humor thing is kind of, I don't know. I've never seen him in that light, I guess.
We're not in love with them as opposed to all the other thousands of girls out there or millions of girls out there that would love to be near Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I mean, we're not those fans.
I'd love to see him do more Robin in Batman.
He's not Robin. He's not Robin.
Yeah.
He's not Robin. He's not Robin. I mean, let's not go over this, Steve. This is supposed to be an hour show. This could be a 3-hour show if I go into that, Steve.
All right, moving along. I see you have a note here about Gods of Egypt. Tell me a little bit about that.
Okay. So going the whole mantra, we're just going over trailers. There's this trailer for a movie called Gods of Egypt. So the movie is the trailer came out, and basically it's just it's about it takes place in Egypt essentially, and this god of darkness basically takes over all of Egypt, and he goes and he takes over, and he's terrible to everybody, and so this mortal.
The name of the god is Set, but like I always thought that the god of darkness was Seth, like with an H at the end. Growing up, I guess I was wrong all this time.
It could be right. You could be right. I have no idea anything about Egyptian history, but anyway, he's just basically this mortal. He's in love with some chick, and apparently, he needs the help of his god to try to help him, beat this evil god, and all the things will be world. This trailer looks so stupid and looks so fruity, and like the images and the CGI looks terrible. But I like it. It looks like a really. I mean, I wouldn't go to theaters to watch it, but I would watch it on Netflix because it just seems like one of those movies that are just. It looks so terrible. It looks like it doesn't even take itself seriously too. Like it looks really ridiculous, but it looks like a fun movie. It's opening in February, which is usually what people say is the dumping ground for movies, because like usually no one opens movies in January or February. Like February is when they have all the stupid scary movies and stuff like that. And usually that's where they put the shit movies in there because they figure, hey, there's no competition. Why not just put a shitty movie in here? So it could be the reason why that's why they're putting it there. Or it could be because they're trying to capitalize on untapped potential. Like last year, American Sniper, that movie like made a shitload of money because there's no competition. Also with Avatar opened at the end of December, and then they made a shit ton of money in January, February, and March because there's no movies then. So what are you going to watch? You're going to go watch Avatar. Or watch something along those lines. So that movie, it looks really silly, but I think I would watch it. I don't know. It's a Sword and Sandals movie, which, it hasn't been doing so well with the Clash of Titans and Wrath of the Titans. They haven't done so well in terms of quality, and they've done so well.
When I saw the trailer, I totally thought of Release the Kraken. And Liam Neeson like being all
Yeah,
Zeus like.
I know. It's looks. I mean, this doesn't look like it takes it seriously, which might help it, but it's probably gonna be a really terrible movie. It's gonna be a terrible movie. I could feel like there's gonna be an 8-year-old out there, like an 8-year of ourselves, basically out there who watches this and will love it, and we'll keep talking about how great this movie is when they're like 25 years old. But Steve, what do you think?
I don't know. I to be honest, I actually kind of like the CGI. It was actually the post production value was pretty good. This looks very much so in the vein of like you said, Clash of the Titans or whatever. Like have lots of CGI covering up a really cruddy storyline. Though it kind of fits in with the rest of that sort of mythological sort of movies, like right up there with 300. I mean, you have Gerard Butler in this movie, for God's sakes. I mean, you're basically going to stick him in every mythological movie possible just because he did 300. I definitely see the appeal because it's just, it's more action movie kind of thing going on. But I don't know. I don't see that there's going to be a lot of depth just based on the trailer that they're showing.
Yeah, they dropped a randomly a British guy in the movie. This is supposed to be Egypt. They have this random British guy talking like that. Like the little mortal. It's. I mean, one of the things I wanted to talk about, I don't know if we want to go over, it's kind of like the whitewashing American cinema. I mean, the whole thing is that, this is supposed to be Egypt. And, I mean, there are people going to be out there saying, if this is supposed to be Egypt, shouldn't they? Why are you picking white people to play Egyptians? There's a lot. Of course, there's like a lot of speculation in terms of like, I know Steve hasn't watched it, but like Dragon Ball, like, Dragon Ball Z, Goku's supposed to be, Asian. Right, but they cast this white guy to play him, which is fine. I mean, it's fine if you cast someone, if you change up the story and say like, hey, this person's supposed to be white. But if you tell like the audience members like, hey, this guy's supposed to be Chinese, and you cast a white guy, it doesn't make sense.
Well, I mean, anime is a little bit of a weird subject because the Japanese tend to like to have their anime characters be white people usually, very wide-eyed. Big-chested, like white girls, like
that's all right. So here's a different example. I don't think you've never seen this movie. It's Aloha. It was a movie that just came out. It had Bradley Cooper and it had Emma Stone. Emma Stone. What? So they cast Emma Stone as this half Chinese and a half Samoan girl. Which part of her looks any part of that? So
wait, like, is this that like movie where he's a chef?
No, that's Burnt. That's a different one. This is the one where basically he's like a veteran or whatever, and I think Rachel McAdams is in this movie too. You've never seen it, trust me. It came out, no one saw it because it was so fucking boring. But basically, they cast Emma Stone as a half Chinese, half Samoan girl, and she does not look anything like that. And I mean, they've always done this before. Like they did it with Johnny Depp. They did cast him as Tonto. You have this pasty ass white guy playing an Indian. And years back, I don't know if you've heard about this, but like John Wayne was actually in a movie called Conqueror, and they casted him as Genghis Khan. John Wayne, the cowboy.
I mean, this isn't like a new phenomena. It's not like the whitewashing of Hollywood. No, I mean, Hollywood was always white. It's always been dominantly white, and it's always been the minorities who like try and break into the industry. And I think part of that is because the stories that everyone wants to hear, they want to perceive themselves as, and they perceive the general public of the US to be this white person, basically. And to be honest, we're pretty damn close ourselves anyway.
No, but that is completely fine with me if you do that. But the thing is that don't tell the audience this person is going to be this person. It could be this certain particular race, and then cast a white guy in there. Just change the person. Just call him someone else. You don't have to do that. Like if you don't have to cast him as Goku, you'd be like Bob the Builder or Bob Shalaki, whatever. That's fine. It's fine if you change the race. It's no big deal. I mean, like they casted Michael Clark Duncan as a Kingpin. It doesn't have to be white. And there's nothing about the character that requires him to be white, right?
Oh, I mean, but that's what I mean, though. I mean, unless these production houses are going specifically out of their way to say that, this is what the character is, and we're having that person play it. But I don't think they're doing that, right?
I mean, they did that with Prince of Persia. They did that with Prince of Persia. You think Jake Gyllenhaal, this Swedish guy, looks like a fucking Persian?
But
they just put.
I mean, just like you said, I mean,
I
you had Michael Clark Duncan play Kingpin, and like there was no need to say that like, oh, he's not a white dude. Like,
oh no, of course not. I mean,
I don't know if I entirely believe the whitewashing of Hollywood is really that big of a deal.
This isn't a bashing though, Steve. I'm fine with they change the characters. It's no big deal with me. It's just that, you know, there's I mean, if you're gonna just don't think the audience is stupid. Don't be like,
well,
hey.
I mean, I'm gonna go with your take on a lot of stuff that we've done in the past. They like money, Alan.
Oh yeah, no, that's the other point.
They like money.
Of course, they're gonna cast people. So then, because they're making these movies, they're gonna make.
Well,
I mean,
look, how many famous Asian actors are there in the U.S.? No. So don't count like international actors and stuff like that because those don't count. Right? It's like do we have famous like Asian American actors that are really prominent in the Hollywood scene right now that could play
the guy who plays Liu Kang.
But you see what I mean? Like it's a question of like popularity with what people want to see, and it just so happens that I mean they're all white.
No, this is not like Asian power. You need to cast more Asian people. I don't care about that.
I mean, I just think Asians as
I know.
I mean, you could say the same thing about black actors too. I mean, they're more prevalent in Hollywood, but I mean, Asian is just one of them. I mean, you could say Jewish actors too, even though Jewish isn't really a race; it's a religion.
I mean, I think
you know what I mean.
Trend, the trend is going towards where like it's gonna be less whitewashing because think about it, they have like Denzel Washington, they have all these big names, they have The Rock, which is clearly not white. You know, they have all these big names, so it's pushing towards that where they're trying to reduce that, but then it's just an issue where they could, they try to like, pass it off. I mean, I understand, obviously it's a studio, they got to make money. Like, if they think about it, that movie got an Exodus and God or whatever is one with Christian Bale, it was or whatever it is, but basically it's another like a swords and sandal Egyptian kind of movie essentially, and you have these bunch of white guys playing them essentially, and of course the reason
I'll tell you what, though, Gerard Butler, I mean, he could pass. That beard is pretty mighty. To be honest, I think Gerard Butler would fit in a lot of other movies that he just doesn't seem to get into. Like, I don't know. I feel like he's kind of casted. But you could totally see him doing like an X-Men movie. I could see him doing an X-Men movie.
I agree. So, and that moves on to our next topic where we're going to talk about Fox. They're going to be developing 2 brand new TV shows. Yes, there's going to be more superhero TV shows. If there isn't in there enough. There's going to be 2. One is going to be Legion. So Legion's basically about this kid who keeps getting these hallucinations and he gets all these like weird kind of freak out and he doesn't know why. So he goes to like the hospital a lot, and basically this person tells them that, hey, you're getting these for a reason. And basically, it's in the comic books, this person's actually the son of not Patrick Stewart. Who's this guy? Of Dr. Xavier. So he's the son of Dr. Xavier. Actually, that's the main character. And in Hellfire, it's basically also this group. Yeah. Sorry, guys. That's my mom. So Hellfire is another series. Where basically it's basically this cult that's in the X-Men universe where there are all these rich, high-class people that are very powerful politically, and they're basically mutants as well. It's just that I'm don't sure that was show shown
a little bit in the First Class movie, X-Men First Class.
Yes,
and they actually show like a general going to meet Kevin Bacon's character.
Sebastian Shaw. Sebastian Shaw is actually one of the main players in the Hellfire Club.
And like that location that they go to with all the lingerie models and whatever is supposed to be the Hellfire Club.
Yes. So that exactly. Thank you for quoting that and tying that in. So basically that's the 2 shows they're gonna do. Basically Hellfire is kind of like their Suicide Squad where they're taking it more of the villain's perspective. So these are two new things that are going to be coming out. Steve, what do you think about them? Do you think this will work? Because I mean, there's a lot of like these comic book like TV shows that are popping up here and there. Would this catch your interest?
I think that the X-Men cast, as far as the greater picture of that universe, is kind of big. So you do have a lot of leeway in kind of creating content like a TV show or another set of movies. However, because the X-Men cast is so large, it will probably be lost on them who certain characters are. Like this Legion character, for example. I don't see myself, like, at least at this point, wanting to watch it because I'm not terribly sure who this character is. You know, I didn't follow anything in terms of this character in, you know, like the old sort of comic show or a cartoon show that we watched back in the 90s. And, you know, it doesn't make an appearance in any of the movies from, you know, the early 2000s. And
Yeah.
I don't see any interest, at least in that. The Hellfire Club one's more interesting because time period pieces tend to go over well for like the sort of nostalgia factor. You know, people like that sort of time period. So I think it might be worthwhile looking at something like that. Plus, those are characters that we're already familiar with, so expanding upon them might be interesting. I'm just not so certain that Fox can come up with something related to the X-Men without actually having the X-Men in it. That's going to be really appealing, and I don't see myself watching either series unless, well, if I do, it's going to be Hellfire, and it might be just because there might be crossovers with the actual X-Men.
Yeah, I mean, Hellfire is going to be on Fox directly, and then Legion's going to be on FX. And the guy who's making Simon Kinberg, who's actually he's shepherding Star Wars Rebels. He's doing, and he also he helped shepherd the terrible Fantastic Four movie, but he also made X-Men First Class, and he helped make Days of Future Past as well. So he's actually saying how Legion's going to be like the Breaking Bad of TV. I don't know about that. I mean, I haven't seen the whole series of Breaking Bad,
which upsets me because you're a chemist and you should totally watch it.
People don't need to know what I do on my day job, man. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if it'll go that far, to be honest with you. I mean, interesting concept. You know, I think I don't think it'll garner that kind of the audience that they want, Steve. Like, I completely agree with you.
Moving along, we're going to come away from entertainment a little bit, and we're going to move on to a little bit more gaming and sort of tech news. Let's just jump into the tech news that I wanted to bring up. On Engadget, something that I read pretty often, that they have a lot of the type of stuff that I just mentioned, tech and gaming. One of the topics that I wanted to talk about was actually that Congress passed, or is about to pass, some legislation which will allow corporations to openly mine asteroids or other outer space objects and bring them back to Earth without fear of confiscation. I mean, currently, and in the past, NASA has always been the one who went out, grabbed stuff, brought it back, and, you know, the government had it, and individual corporations didn't. But now with the sort of expansion of the private space industry by companies like SpaceX, for example, we have the opportunity for those companies to reach up to the stars, grab an asteroid, bring it back down, and mine the hell out of it for, I mean, God knows what's going to be on those rocks. So, I mean, my question to you, Alan, is do you think that this is, you know, a good thing to be unregulated in terms of bringing these items back to Earth for mining purposes? And they touch on it a little bit in the article. I mean, do you think that there's like a potential political fallout that could happen if, you know, an American company like SpaceX goes up and takes an asteroid and breaks it down?
All right. So the first question, I don't think it's great that it's unregulated. I think anything that they bring back should be cataloged. I mean, granted, you know, I'm a prude. So of course, you know, the businesses, you know, they don't want that. They want to be unregulated. They want to be able to. The reason why they want to do this is also for them to, you know, find a way to make money out of this, right? So the whole point of bringing this back, maybe they find, you know, some kind of like element from a different planet or a different area that helps solve like curing cancer. So basically, who would have the rights to it, right? Would they get you know what I mean? Like, who would get the rights to? Would there be a patent? Would they be able to file a patent on it in terms of the legal issues where they're able to, like, oh, we mined this certain part of the rock and this certain part of the area, and we found an element that cures cancer. You know, like, how does that going to go out? So I don't know. I don't believe that this is going to be. I think there'd be some form of regulation. So what was your second question, Steve?
So the second question is related to something they talk about in the article a little bit, and it's basically, let's say if another country lays claim to an asteroid or a part of the moon, for example, Russia, just as a for example, this isn't actually the case, but let's say a company, because they're unregulated, they're not restricted in what objects they select for mining, etc. What if that company goes up there, takes that asteroid that Russia claimed already, and they mine it? I mean, what happens then? I mean, are we looking at, the potential for war because this company just went up there and took property of the Russian government? I mean, how do you feel about the potential political fallout that could happen if something like that happened? And do you see this as something that we should worry about?
I think ultimately right now it's nothing to worry about. That's why it's unregulated. But I think eventually you're gonna have to regulate this. There's gonna be some form. There's gonna need to be some form of check and balance. It's kind of like where like before America was discovered. Like all these European countries were laying claim parts of America, right? Like they're like, oh, this is my property and stuff like that. So it's gonna turn out to be like that, where you're gonna need some form of government governing body to kind of take care of this. I mean, I don't know if this is a great idea. This sounds like the beginning of like a sci-fi horror flick, or like.
I totally imagine like in the future, like there are corporations like Apple or SpaceX, and they're up on asteroids fighting over it. Like, this is my territory.
Let go.
But no, I mean, one thing that scares me with that, I mean, this is only for 8 years. The unregulated portion of this sort of discovery.
8 years is still a lot, Steve. I mean,
8 years is a lot. I mean, that's definitely enough time to go up there, take a rock, and bring it down.
Yeah.
Now, what I'm worried about is, a country, other than us, laying claim to something like an asteroid, and then this company just goes up there and takes it without any worry about the political fallout, because they don't have to ask questions about the rocks that they're taking from space.
Because this is just America approving. It's American Congress.
Oh, yeah.
It's not worldwide. It's not worldwide. So if Russia claims a part of the thing, and then a business in America decides, I want to take a piece of that rock from that area, there's going to be, like you said, there's going to be a huge political fallout, because they're going to be like, oh, we lay claim of this already. It's just like with like patents or anything like that. It's only useful in America, not elsewhere. That's the thing. So this.
Well, so I mean, there are treaties that are in place, I think, on the moon, low Earth orbit, and Antarctica.
Okay.
In the North Pole, I think, that most of the UN has signed, saying that it's basically free for all mankind. It's not like something that you can own, so that no country can lay claim to it.
Yeah.
I don't remember what the name of the treaty is, but I'm fairly certain that the U.S. didn't sign it anyway.
Yeah. I mean, granted, our technology is only so far in terms of space travel. Like it's not like we could bring SCVs out there, bring a command center, drop it on the moon, and just start mining things. I mean, it's not like that. So, I mean,
but I think this is important though, because the companies that are going to be interested in going up to the space, in collecting things, are ones who are going to be mining and trying to obtain raw materials, expensive metals, gold, silver, platinum, things like that. Those things that are rare down here, might be abundant up in an asteroid. Sure. So I mean, there's definitely something useful that a company could go and grab this stuff, and they want to avoid the red tape of, hey, is the government going to take this stuff? Do I have to worry about who's going to own it when I bring it down? What happens if there's a catastrophe? And I think being able to avoid all the government issues around it opens up avenues for them to get investors involved who might be interested in supporting these space programs. Because certainly, I mean, of course, the American people don't want their tax dollars wasted on things like space. So, I mean, private industry has to take up some of the burden. And I mean, I don't personally believe that we shouldn't be paying for a space program, because we totally should be. But.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to ultimately help us, in the future anyway. I mean, if they need help, they can always ask Bruce Willis. He knows how to drill a hole on an asteroid. Just saying.
Moving on, just a quick little note. about a game that I'm interested in, and I don't know if Alan's played any of them.
No.
Deus Ex, Mankind
No.
Divided, the latest installment that's due to come out in February, got delayed until August of next year. They're claiming that they need more time in post-production in order to make the game look better and make sure that everything looks right in terms of gameplay. Deus Ex, have you played it, Alan? The original one or any of the sequels?
I think I have 2 of them on Humble Bundle, and they're on the Steam account. I've never touched them, Steve. I'm sorry.
So Deus Ex was always this sort of first-person shooter RPG, which is sort of like a basis for good storytelling, because the original Deus Ex got rave reviews for the way that they told the story and having the non-linear approach to completing objectives and exploring. So, I mean, it's definitely something to look forward to. And interestingly enough, the newer versions of the game are made by Square Enix, and you know, they're known for storytelling already from all the Final Fantasy games. So it's totally a worthwhile experience to, you know, even check out the first one or even the latest one, Human Revolution. Now, this kind of also rolls into the next topic and the last topic that I wanted to talk about before we talk a little bit about the show. So Deus Ex was the sort of pinnacle of non-linear storytelling, non-linear gameplay. And there's an article that I have that I've posted in the show notes down below in the video description that from Engadget, and it talks about a video which this guy posted where the game worlds that we enjoy playing in now, like Grand Theft Auto, Fallout 4, Skyrim, even the new Witcher game, a lot of these big RPG games, and even not RPG games like Grand Theft Auto, are really open worlds. And you could kind of decide to do whatever you want in these games. Yet, when you go and try and complete story, and because, you know, creating your own story isn't something you can necessarily do, even though, you know, it might not be as interesting. These in-game stories have quest markers. You know, hey, the next guy you need to go talk to is exactly right here. And he's saying that it takes you out of the experience for the game. It gets you to not use all your senses and sort of lose your sense of investigation to move on to the next objective. You remember back in the day playing like old 64 games or like old Super Nintendo games, or like you had a puzzle. It's like, oh, you have to find this rock, turn left, keep going until you hit a tree, and go around the tree 2 times and make a right. You know, that type of puzzle doesn't exist anymore, because when the guy tells you that that's the directions you have to follow, he literally just puts a mark on your map and you have to go there. Mm-hmm. And this sort of accessibility from gameplay is potentially drawing you out of the game, because instead of looking for those objects and really paying attention, you are just, you know, looking to satisfy your innate need to complete an objective just by going to the marker. How do you feel about games that are doing this? I mean, do you miss having that sort of puzzle aspect to exploring your space and like really discovering like where you need to go? Someone tells you that you need to find the ladies' room in a video game, not in real life. Mm-hmm. Well, maybe in real life. Yeah. You know, you're going to go and look for signs for a bathroom, right? And, you know, that's kind of important instead of just having a marker to go there. Do you think this is important in a video game to you?
Yes and no. Depends on the player. I mean, for me personally, I like to figure things. I mean, it depends on how I am into the game. If I'm kind of rushing through it, I kind of want to point. I kind of want to be handed where to go. Like if I'm really into the game, like, you know, where I'm like, oh, okay, I'm invested in the storyline, I want to figure things out. I want to be able to find who I have to talk next, as opposed to having to, you know, see, oh, there's a marker. Oh, go there on the map. That was a huge thing with Grand Theft Auto 5. I love that game. However, it made you really rely on the map that's on the little mini map that was on there. So it kind of took away from the experience, because the whole point of like them creating this open universe in Grand Theft Auto 5, where you can see it looks like, you know, LA. And then you spend all this time, all the graphics and all the physics, all the AI, but then you're drawn to all this little mini map. So the whole point of driving through that world, you don't really enjoy it because you see it on that little thing. But however, you know, we don't live in that. We don't. Not everyone's like that. Where like we care about that, because there are people that just want that instant gratification. They just want to be able, hey, go to point A to point B, do these quests, collect three pelts of the sheep or whatever, and then here, get your quest, get your gold, get your experience. People don't. I mean, that's the thing. Not a lot of people give a shit about that. To be honest with you, I feel like we are actually in the minority where we actually care about. We want to have those kind of puzzles.
I mean, have you ever had moments where, and this has happened to me in like World of Warcraft or like other games, where like, man, I just don't know where I have to go to get this thing that this guy is looking for, or talk to this guy. Damn, like it's been like 20 minutes, a half hour, and like this is so frustrating, and you have to stop playing the game. Or you go online and you look up, oh, shit, I passed it like 10 minutes ago. That's my bad. Like, have you ever had that happen to you?
Yeah, of course. That's why you get plugins, Steve, for a while. You get plugins. I don't understand. You get plugins, they tell you where the quest is, you tell you where to go. Yeah, I've always had that. But then I think that's why a lot of game makers are worried about that. Because the thing is that if they get too frustrated with the game, then you're going to get bad reviews, because people are not going to give you rave reviews. So if they get stuck in the game, they're not going to finish the game. They're going to be like, oh, this game was shit,
But you do totally lose some immersion, though, and that's what the articles and the video is really talking about. Is like, hey, there's this aspect to the game of like, going to find it, like that certain yearn to actually locate something, and they do this as like hidden gems in certain games. Like, they'll have the quest markers for most of the stuff, but then like the extra secret stuff, they'll just give you a drawn map on the screen. It's like, oh, you have to like make sure that you're standing in the right spot, and then bring up the item, and it shows you a line, and you have to walk up there. Like I've seen that done before in like Skyrim and a few other games. But what's interesting to me is the design of the game has changed quite a bit as well. Like if you're going into an open world and you want to be able to navigate without having to use quest markers or the mini map or whatever it is, the first thing you should be able to do when you see someone is ask them for directions. And like that's something that's not built into like any of these open world games. I mean, if they do, what they do is they just put a little marker on your map and tell you to go there. But no one actually in the game explains, oh yeah, it's at the top of town. You got to walk down this street and make a right. Like no one does that, and I feel like you lose a little bit of the immersion because in an RPG, the whole point is to put you in the place of the character that's in the game, and like this character that you're playing as doesn't have like a set of Google Glass that shows them a map marker. Oh, it's 20 meters away. I got to go there. I mean, doesn't this seem a little bit like real life to you? Like you have a GPS system for your car, and like, oh, I need to go to this destination. There's a McDonald's like over there, and the GPS is going to take me there. But then like you didn't have to interact with anyone or to try and figure out where it is and like actually explore. So like you don't pay attention to like, oh, hey, there's a really nice burger joint on the way. Like that's the kind of thing that I realize is happening in games. And does this like kind of strike you as sort of a similarity to what we're seeing?
I think somewhat of a similarity because it's easier. Like I said, it's just more convenient for the user. They can just. I mean, I'm once again one of the minority. I'm able to navigate my way through areas. I don't using GPS. I use it as a guy, but however, I can argue that having this technology actually helps with finding new places as well. Like that burger joint. You might not see it. When you drive past it, but then if you Yelp it, you might, and you see some good reviews. I'm like, oh, let me check that place out next time. So I can argue a little bit where it actually helps these little burger joints and these little areas that you would pass by to like, hey, maybe I should stop by there next time.
Well, that's actually sort of relatable back to the video games, though, because like in certain video games, it'll show you points of interest nearby on your minimap that you haven't visited before, right? Yes. Like, so like you get to find quests and things that are like in the game that the developers put there that you wouldn't necessarily have found if you didn't have those markers, right? It's like the same thing with the burger joint on the way to McDonald's. It's kind of interesting, this sort of give and take that you have to really realize that's happening. That this game interface that we're creating is both limiting us because we don't get to experience the world like we would in real life, but at the same time, like, you know, it does give us access to all the things that the developers created. And ultimately, I think that's what the developers want.
Yeah, it's that there needs to be a balance, but you know, it's hard to find that balance because no one's gonna buy a $30 game guide from GameStop and just like, oh, let me see where I found.
I mean, that's how you did it back in the day, right? You totally bought
the strategy manual. Prima, yeah, there we go.
Prima was the company that made
that stuff. I don't even. They're out of business by now.
They're probably just a website that, like, you know, no one actually looks at anymore. But like, it totally had, like, you know, cheat codes, of course. But like, it totally had all the maps where to find all the little stuff that you didn't find on your own. And like now, like in a modern video game where they literally just have quest markers everywhere. I don't know. It's just something to think about when you play a game now. Especially, I'm about to start Fallout 4 soon. Like, I'm considering turning off all of the objective markers like this guy is doing in this video.
That's what I was gonna say. You can, if they put an option where you can turn those things off, that would be great too.
However, like, you know, you still lose immersion in the game though, because literally no one can tell you directions to find something that you need to find, or, you know, hey, the game just isn't built for that. So like, making your way to the next quest is just like, I don't know where to go. Like, it literally, like, oh, you have to go to, I think it's set in Boston and or something like that. And it's like, oh, you have to go to the old Sam Adams factory, and like, no one gave you directions. It'd be like if you went to Boston yourself and like went there and like, I need to go to the Sam Adams factory, and I didn't have a cell phone or a GPS, and no one would talk to me. Like, how the hell would I get there? Like, that's basically what it's going to look like in the game, I guess.
I agree.
Okay, so that kind of wraps all the topics that we wanted to talk about in terms of like news and gaming and stuff like that. Let's talk about the show, and this is something that Alan and I haven't really discussed a whole lot, and this is sort of kind of a off-the-cuff discussion. So this is going to be less directed at you, the audience, and more directed at me and Alan. However, you can leave comments in the live chat below in the YouTube video. We can see that. So if you hear something that you're interested in, or if you want us to change something, go ahead, get those little squirrel fingers going and get typing and let us know. All right, Alan, my first thought is maybe we shorten the actual show that we run. Now, I'm not sure about this because we tend to run long anyway, and we like to talk a lot about a lot of different stuff. What's your initial thoughts on maybe shortening the length of our Wednesday night broadcast?
I think we could. I think we talked about this idea before, where we make two shows basically. One's more entertainment focused, one is more tech and gaming focused. That might alleviate a little bit, where we do like maybe like 2 half-hour sessions basically, and we break up the shows. I mean, I think that would be helpful because like, you know, when we do this, I feel like, you know, like maybe, I'm not sure about you guys, the followers out there, it might be harder for you guys to be able to kind of like navigate through like the topics that you want to read, because you basically, let's be honest, you're not going to want to hear all this shit we're talking about the whole time too. I mean, you know, some of the stuff, you know, you just don't care about. I mean, like, I know like my girlfriend or like my cousin, like, they're girls. They don't give a shit about video gaming. Half the girls that watch this, well, no, all the girls that watch this don't give a shit about video gaming, right?
But I mean, do they watch it for any other portions of the show though?
They watch it because I think they watch it out of pity. But I think they watch it out of pity.
I wouldn't be surprised.
They do watch. They're more likely to watch more of the entertainment segments because it's something they can relate to. Because they, like, you know, like, the thing with gaming is that, as terrible as it is, it still has that stigma where it's like, oh, you know, it's video gaming, you know, it's like, oh, I'm not nerdy enough for that, you know, which is terrible, right? It's like, you know, luckily comic books is kind of crossing over that threshold from like, oh, you know, you're a comic reader, you're a nerd, but now comic books has been a big thing. However, video gaming hasn't crossed that plateau. I think that will change once video game movies start getting up and running. Because I think once that happens, people start becoming fans. It might be, you know, people will be more likely, like, oh, let me hear about the next Assassin's Creed or like this kind of game or whatever, or a Fallout game, because they might be more likely to listen to that because it's a property in more of a pop culture sense. So that's why I think, like, for them, you know, like, I think it's. I mean, entertainment is a lot easier to pick up because like there's people you recognize, right? Because it's like oh, like oh, it's Star Wars or Marvel or whatever. Because you're more likely to connect with that because you've seen, you've seen the shows, you've seen the movies, as opposed to video gaming. Like you said, you have to also have the console to play the game. You need to have a means of playing that game. Like if I didn't know you or like other people, I wouldn't be able to play some of these games because I wouldn't. Well, actually, I can't play in those games yet until soon at Black Friday when someone helps me build a computer. But yeah, that's the thing with video games is that, there is, a lot of us, like, we love video games. But the thing is that, like not everyone is into that video game thing. Cause like, once again, we're getting a little older. I mean, I know I'm ranting a little bit, we're getting a little older. So of course, video gaming is slowly not becoming a part of my daily life. Unfortunately, I wish it could be more. I mean, like, a while ago, like I have never played Mass Effect and I banged it out in 2 months and I loved it. So like, but then like it had to be like in the time of my life where like I was kind of slowed down and I could, like I could just relax and do that. But then like now, like, if you don't know, I'm engaged now. Life is picking up. So it's kind of hard for me to do that.
So, I mean, one thing we talked about, and part of it was because we saw how ridiculous the amount of views we had on the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Reactions sort of video that we made, along with the rest of the show. Do you think that's something we could kind of build into that, like have a reaction show, and then also trail off into other entertainment news? Do you think that's something that we could do, or something you'd be interested in doing?
I think so. I mean, we could do that where we do, like you said, I think Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I mean, I think that's a show that me and you both watch. I mean, we can only do so many shows, though. Let's be honest, we can't do every show. Like, I'm not gonna watch.
I mean, no. I mean, the point is to have something regular to talk about, and then add on top of that, a few entertainment topics just to throw them out there really quick. I think that's probably the way to go. This way, people can skip the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. thing if they don't watch it, and they can watch the rest of the show.
Yeah, we were also talking about like doing kind of a list formation. I think one of the iterations were like I think we were going through a bunch of trailers from which was that Sony thing, and we were just going through them. I think that was effective where we were able to cut through a lot of things, but then we would give like one word responses. I think that's a lot. I think that's something we could integrate to part of our shows where we have a segment where it's basically here's a list of things. What do you think of them? Stupid, or like something like that to kind of like just get like fast, because we rant a lot. I mean I'm terrible at talking. But like we rant a lot, so we kind of want to condense that because like kind of reduce that. I mean it's great that we rant, but the thing is that not everyone gives a shit what the hell we're talking about.
So I'm thinking, at least for now, at least our Wednesday night show we would leave in place at 8 o'clock. Maybe shorten it, try and target maybe like a half hour, maybe 45 minutes at maximum.
Then it can't be Jersey Hobby Hour, buddy. Jersey Half Hour? You can't.
Maybe we'll change the name. I don't know. Maybe it'd still be an hour.
Friends with hobbies. I told you, friends with hobbies.
But I'm thinking perhaps we stick with the gaming, tech, and like other news that we just want to have conversations about during this time slot. And then if we want to do entertainment and maybe like a show review, we have to discuss what show we want to do, because maybe we need to find a show when Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. isn't on, or something else is coming up. And then maybe do it directly afterwards, and then tie in entertainment news with that.
So basically,
what do you think about doing that?
So basically, it's just going to be gaming and tech then?
Gaming, tech, other like tabletop gaming or current events news and stuff like that.
So
I mean, something that a lot of people have given us feedback on because they've been on the show is getting people that we know to actually come on and talk with us and chat about things they want to talk about. So I think that's actually should be a big part of what we're trying to do.
I agree.
With our Wednesday night show. Yeah,
but I don't know if cutting entertainment out of that would be helpful.
It would be helpful for time.
Then it's just be a half-hour show for them. It's like I said, it's just make 2 half-hour shows basically.
So I mean, do you think that's more effective than just keeping everything together?
I think that would be more effective because it's more concentrated per a segment. Because like how we have to kind of transition from from entertainment to tech and news. I mean, would you want to go back to back?
I mean, we could do it on Wednesday nights and just do it, a half-hour seg and then another half-hour segment.
I don't care. I mean, I don't mind doing that at all.
Because I mean, the other thing that I was thinking about, and this is maybe a little bit further in the future, is actually shooting live together rather than doing.
I would rather do that actually. If we would do that, then I think we should just do the show as it is, but live. What, just me and you? I mean, it doesn't have to be live. We can just pre-record it and then.
Well, the whole point is it would be pre-recorded, and we, try and edit it down. This way, we're not, we don't look like idiots.
Yeah, like my mom doesn't come up half the time. That might be help. That'd be me.
I mean, at least in the meantime, until we really come up with a solid plan, I think ultimately we're going to keep our Wednesday night slot
as is,
and until we come up with a solid plan, keep the same format that we've had, because it's been working, to be honest.
Yeah,
we enjoy doing this, and we're able to find topics every week. And
I think
we're able to get people onto the show.
Yeah. I think another way that may be helpful is that we kind of like cut down like the segments. We just cut it into mini videos and just put it on YouTube. So then people could just pick like, oh, I want to listen to that, as opposed to going through the whole show and trying to pick. I mean, I put the timestamps up there, but I guess no one really uses them, to be honest with you. I mean, like that's.
Well, it might just be helpful just for organization because of tags and like the title and stuff like that.
Yeah. So
I would still be down to do them back to back, because honestly, it saves us the time throughout the week if we just do it all in one sitting at one night.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing: we could still do it on one show, but just cut down into little parts for consumption. I mean, we can always have this show as is, but then we just cut down little segments, like one topic that's a segment, and we just make a little video for that.
Okay, so what do we do about if we want to have someone on the show?
What do you mean?
So I mean, if we're gonna have segments where like we literally chop up the videos into 3 different portions, we're gonna have them on all 3 segments. Is that something that we would want to do?
Yeah, why not? You know what I'm saying, right? It's not. We just do it as is right now, but it's just pretend like we just cut down like the segment of us talking about God of Egypt. We just cut out that part. That's it. We just cut that. That's a video.
I mean, we could just do this all in one shoot with a long hangout like this one is.
Yeah, and just cut it.
Edit the video afterwards and just
exactly. That's what I was suggesting. It's
okay. I was just thinking of have separate broadcasts back to back.
No, that's too much. I think that's a little. I mean, it's not too much work.
It's probably also just annoying because people would get alerts. Like
it just gets confusing. I think. I mean, I think the whole thing is that we want to make it kind of like easy for people to view things, as opposed to like you don't have to watch this whole show. You just watch this little clip of the part that we talked about. Like I said, like my girlfriend or like my cousin, they don't give it, or like.
Well, so honestly, then technically, we don't have to change anything about the show. The live show is the live show. Anyone who watches live gets to see all the crap that's in between, and it would just be about us putting a little work to actually cut the videos apart and segment stuff off.
Yeah, we should stop being lazy. I think that's the moral of the story, guys. We have to stop being lazy and stop playing D&D, which we play a lot in D&D now. Damn it, Danny.
So I mean, as far as segmenting and separating potentially, I think if we did do that, we would separate out. So I mean, outside of just editing of a live video, because we're just gonna have a live video that like we've been doing for now.
Oh yeah, and then
drop it apart. However, if we decide that we do want to separate out and do a separate day, we should really talk about that maybe a little bit more. Not necessarily now, but because we need to discuss like a show that we'd want to watch.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we could still do that as a side project as well. We can still do that where we just have a reaction thing. I mean, one thing I really wanted to do, Steve, was to actually just do reaction videos. I mean, honestly, that's what people are doing nowadays. Are doing reaction videos. I mean,
that's what all the fad people are doing.
Yeah. So I mean, like we can just do like reviews. Like we could like all right, guys. We wanted to watch The Martian, and then we review it. Never happened because we got lazy. Let's be honest.
Yeah, we got lazy.
Shit happens. I want to watch Spectre and review it. Shit happens.
Did you see it?
No.
I went to go see it with Greg on Saturday. It was good.
You fucker. We're watching Star Wars, so we can't. We got to review that. It's Star Wars, for God's sakes, right?
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna be there Thursday night.
So I'm thinking. Honestly, we just discussed this. We're just keeping everything the same as it really stands. As of right now, we're just going to try to organize a little bit better, segments, and then, cut it apart maybe.
By the way, Christian, we know we're live. We're talking to everybody. You don't have to watch this part, Christian. He just texted me saying you're still live. I know we're still live, dummy.
Yeah, he probably just signed in and was like,
shenanigans.
I'm really. So, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is probably one thing that we would want to talk about. That's probably going to. I think it ends next week for the last episode for the break.
Yeah, for the break. I mean, then comes Agent Carter, unless you want to talk about Agent Carter. I don't think you've seen season 1 of Agent Carter.
I haven't, but I could catch up before that starts.
We can also, well, it comes tricky because like the whole point is that we want to do a weekly thing. I wanted to do, like, we can't do just.
Well, I mean, the reaction stuff doesn't have to be weekly. The Jersey Hobby Hour can be this weekly thing that we try and do with friends, and we cover things that like we've been doing, just conversations. Yeah. And then, like, we could have our separate project be this sort of reaction, to some. And there doesn't necessarily need to be any sort of time frame on it. We just put it out whenever we want. In fact, I've been posting videos on YouTube for just Counter-Strike highlights in case anyone wants to watch. They're like a minute or like 30 seconds.
Nice to have a computer that runs really good.
And the video quality is kind of terrible, actually, for reasons outside my immediate control. But
you're just lazy.
Mainly. Well, partially it's I don't want it to interrupt my PC's performance, because if you want really high quality recording, you need to cut into your graphics performance, and I don't want to do that.
I better be able to do that on my new computer.
Well, that's what 2 computers are for. So I might actually.
You have 3 computers. You have 3 computers. You have 3 computers. You have 2 behind you.
Yeah, well, I'll buy a capture card and I'll put one in, and that'll be the streaming PC.
So it seems like more of the story, guys. We're gonna be lazy, and we're gonna be a little less lazy, and we're just gonna do the same thing, but we're just gonna cut into little segments for you guys, basically,
and try and get more of you guys on the show, or repeat having people on. Because
by the way, you guys don't have to talk about whatever the hell we talk about. You don't have to talk. We don't have to talk about Star Wars. We don't have to talk about Marvel. We can talk about whatever the hell you want.
You can talk about shoes and get our opinion on shoes or fashion or whatever. I mean, if you just want to have a conversation with us, just to ask us questions, why not? Let's just do it. Let's get some people on here. Let's get other people involved. Yeah. I think it'd be a lot of fun.
And don't worry about being afraid. No one watches this.
There are 3 viewers right now live, and I bet you that I know all 3 of them. And you know what? I don't really care if there's what. Nobody's watching. Nobody important's watching.
It's just for us to just interact with our friends. To be honest with you, that's primarily the thing. I mean, I don't really care. You're not gonna be YouTube famous. Let's be real here. It's more of us just trying to interact with our friends, like, because we don't see everybody. Like, I work with Steve, but I don't see him all the time. I mean, like, we work in the same building. He works.
Honestly, I haven't seen Alan all this week at work.
Yeah, we work together in the same place. It's just that things happen. Like, I was stuck in the lab the whole day. He got stuck in his lab the whole time doing his own stuff. We just don't. So, I mean, it's a great time for us to catch up.
I think it's important that anyone who is watching, that you really consider just joining us on the show, just to catch up and talk. I mean, you get to hear us, talk about our feelings on different news topics and describe things to you. Join the conversation.
Sean. Yeah, Renee.
It would be just like having a beer with us at a bar or going out to dinner and catching up, because we would do the same kind of stuff.
Yep, that's true.
All right, enough beating you, the viewer, up, and just a quick recap of what we're planning to do. The show is staying in place at 8 p.m. on Wednesday nights. We're going to probably just broadcast for an hour or however long it takes us to cover all the topics that we're interested in covering. We want to have you guys join us on Wednesday nights, hopefully. If you do want to join us, contact us, send us a text message, call us, email us. Leave a message on our
who the hell emails anymore? Shut up.
Leave a message on our YouTube page.
This ain't work.
However you wish, and join the conversation. It'll be a lot of fun. And you may start seeing other content if Alan and I can get off our lazy butts and decide on, what show we want to review or what movies we want to review and that type of stuff. And we're probably going to try and do that live and maybe do a little editing on that and maybe cut out all the shots of Alan's mom walking in.
And join us too, because you guys would probably go watch the movie with us, so you guys can have an opinion. Talk about how stupid it is. Talk about which part that you hate. Just talk about it in front of a camera.
All right, I think we're gonna call it quits for tonight, and I want to thank everyone for watching. Thanks, Alan, for joining me. Any last words?
No, not really. I think I've talked enough today.
All right, guys. Again, Jersey Hobby Hour is live every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. This video will upload to YouTube directly afterwards. Check out the video descriptions down below for information about where to, check out the websites that we talked about and watch the videos we talked about. And we will see you next week. Adios.
Bye, guys.